Hey guys, welcome back to another week of e-commerce marketing chats with myself, Charles, and Jimmy. Jimmy, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, good. Good to be back. I was just telling Charles before the call. Thank my wife for being on this call. I was sitting downstairs. She's like, "Do you have a call with Charles now?" I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So just ran up, and here we are. So good to get stuck into it. But I think we'll just continue the basic conversation we just had, Charles, because I'm interested in it. I'm kind of wanting to understand more around kind of the SEO strategy for smaller e-commerce stores. And when we say smaller e-commerce stores, we're more talking about the amount of products that they have rather than they having a lot of products and just brand new. So not small in terms of revenue, small in terms of probably product SKUs, let's say.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
just
for
the
sure.
difference in SEO strategy between them both.
Yeah, so I was just on a call earlier with a client of mine. It's a smaller store. We were kind of running through a bit of a strategy plan for the rest of the year. Um, Effectively, I'd come in and just what I say lay the foundations for them, so optimize their core pages, and now it's kind of up to them to continue to effectively create an optimized strategy to increase their organic traffic and visibility. So we went through a number of things. Now the biggest disadvantage with a smaller store compared to a larger store is simply the fact that they've just got fewer product pages. And yeah, you can try and create more products, but if you only sell a limited amount of products on your site or within your business, then it doesn't really make sense to do that. So once you've technically optimize those pages, you've done your keyword research, you've made sure that you're targeting the right keywords for those individual product pages and your collection page and your home page. And from a design perspective, you think that the site looks good. Really, the two big pillars that move the needle the most when it comes to continuing to build on that momentum is a strong kind of content strategy around your blog traditionally, and also building more backlinks to the site. So links pointing from other sites to your site. Um, Whereas the advantage with a larger store is because they're constantly creating new products and new collections. So they don't often need to focus as much time and attention unless they're in a really competitive market. They can sometimes get away with just focusing on strong technical SEO and just constantly doing on-page SEO to optimize each of their pages because they're creating new pages all the time. So they're being indexed by Google. Google's seeing them as fresh new content, which is kind of a ranking signal in itself. So it's kind of, yeah, the larger stores are at an advantage. But if you're a smaller e-commerce store, once you've got that foundation SEO work done with the site's technically sound and you've done your on-page SEO and you're starting to see ranking improvements, in order to keep that momentum going, yeah, you will need to be building out a strong content strategy around your blog. I like to, we've talked about before about creating kind of content hubs. So you're, putting out blog content, but also video content to support those blogs. You may already have a strong YouTube presence. So you might want to convert those videos into blogs and then add that video to the blog. So that would probably be the next step, building out that content strategy and then making sure that when you write those blogs, you're linking from the blog to your product pages where it's relevant, basically. Um, so that would probably be step one. And then step two would be, okay, where can we get a few quick wins when it comes to backlinks? Like typically the easiest way is to make sure that you're set up on all the social media profiles and platforms, and you've got your website link pointing back to your site from those sites, and then it's looking at other methods, whether it's building guest blogs and reaching out to relevant sites within your kind of niche or sub niche, maybe doing digital PR, And also just being active on social media as well, like noticing more that uh, certainly for branded searches on Google search, that if you're active on Instagram, especially creating new reels, you're going to actually start to show up more within Google's first page. And that's obviously more for branded searches. So there is some benefit there. But yeah, there's certainly more emphasis, I would say, on a strong content strategy and link building earlier on in the process versus a larger store where technically there's a lot more work to be done first and foremost on the site rather than okay, let's create a blog content strategy, let's build links. So yeah, there's some variations there that I've certainly noticed working from larger stores versus smaller stores and how they best approach it.
I think the smaller stores definitely lend themselves to like an advertorial type
Yep.
post as or page as well. I'm thinking because I work for like I do some work for on a supplement company that sells. It's kind of like a marketplace, so they don't have their own product; they sell other people's products. But for supplement companies that only have like one product that they specialize in, um, whether it's collagen or sea moss or something like that, and they've just got one, that lends itself pretty heavily to a really specialized advertorial page. You can send ads to there. It's also super informative, and it's kind of like an additional buying page that's not necessarily the product page. So
Yep.
you wouldn't necessarily be putting out advertorial posts on a website that's got 10,000 products unless you wanted to focus on kind of maybe your top five best sellers or something like that. But you're definitely not going to do it for 10,000 products. Or at least I
No,
wouldn't be
no,
either. Anyway,
yeah, there's very few companies that can execute that well, that quickly. It's a lot of work.
I think
Um,
like even though the strategy is a lot different, potentially even on the SEO side, I think it's really different on the paid ad side as well. And even as I'm doing some more coaching with some businesses that are starting out with like lower SKUs, I typically work with higher SKU stores because one, there's a lot more data and there's a lot more levers I can pull. When you've got one product and it's not working on Performance Max, a lot of people don't know what to do after that because they're like, oh, Performance Max covers everything. So what do I do? But you need to go back one step and lay some foundations and go back to kind of standard shopping and build out your negative keyword list to make sure that your product's showing up as something that's as relevant as possible to what your product is before you start trying to use AI bidding strategies and methods where the AI is trying to guess what your product is. You need to start a step back where you've got a lot more control and then build out kind of those negatives to craft it to go a certain way. Then you can try kind of the automated bidding strategy again once you've kind of ruled out some potential high spending keywords that aren't relevant to your kind of business at all.
yeah, for sure. I think one thing that I'm realizing is that AI is great in the right hands, but with all of these kind of platforms, there's like an emphasis on taking shortcuts and yeah, let's just turn on AI and it will get results, and it's just not the case. I've seen it. There's been a post doing the rounds on LinkedIn and X at the moment from a founder who thought it was a good idea to use AI to create thousands of pages on his site, and it worked until it didn't. They started to get some traffic, and the rankings were going up, and
When
then
you when you
suddenly,
say when you say some traffic, like I saw the numbers, it was pretty significant. It wasn't like a couple of hundred
yeah,
clicks. We're
yeah,
talking like within millions of clicks. So
yeah. No, look, it would, look, it like I said, it worked. It worked well until it didn't, and Google completely, slapped a penalty on it, and their traffic fell off a cliff. And I think that's the problem. Is these, not saying that these things don't work, but they only work typically for a short period of time until Google's algorithm catches up, um, and it's a ticking time bomb basically. So yeah, I think he learned the hard way. The moral of the story is, use these AI tools and to your advantage, but understand the algorithm and the platform that you're working with, and know that you know if these platforms are against just creating a lot of mass content, or then it's going to be an issue. So yeah, that was just another example of where AI isn't always best used in the right way.
Yeah, I think that clearly like if you're creating that many pages, you're kind of looking to game the system. I think it's fine to use when you're using it to help you write articles or I used it today. I There was a podcast that was relevant to one of my clients in a particular industry. It was a 3 hour podcast. I took the podcast transcript. I wrote summarize all the products that were spoken about in this podcast with a summary of its benefits. Um, and yeah, instead of watching through 3 hours of content and taking notes, I had like the whole summary in the space of 2 minutes. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, probably not great for the YouTube creator, like me not sitting through watching ads of you time, just taking the transcript and getting it summarized for me. But yeah, it's there's many ways to do each thing. You don't have to abuse the system, and if it's too good to be true, like yeah, I mean it's hard not to do sometimes because you look at millions of clicks that they're getting like, oh, maybe I can just ride that wave for a couple of months and see how it goes. So, but yeah, I mean, you wonder as well, like how much, even though they got tanked on Google, whether or not, how they rank in AI still, like where do they stand in that regard? And um, so yeah, no, it's interesting, but yeah, in terms of back to what we were just chatting about before, there. It's why when people come to you for advice, like we kind of need to understand context. Like, well, you don't kind of need to. You 100% need to understand the context, how many products you've got. Like, is your website even converting? Because I could be running the best ads in the world, but if your checkout doesn't work on your website, then you're not going to get any sales. Or if there's a massive issue on the website, then you're not going to get the sales no matter how good the ads are anywhere, Meta, Google,
yeah,
wherever. And some of these technical issues or things that you're not aware of can be like a massive downfall. I feel sorry for business owners because how much you need to know on how things work is really overwhelming. I mean, we're in the marketing space, and even when I'm looking, I was like, far out, there's so many new things coming out at the moment. Trying to keep on top of what's happening, what's changing, it can be mentally exhausting, and we're in it every day. So you put yourself in a business person's shoes who's got to run the logistics, potential staff as well, and the whole the whole broad spectrum that comes with e-commerce. And it's why it's so important that they get people on their team that they trust and can do a good job because it takes one thing off their plate if they know it's being managed really well.
yeah, no, totally agree. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is, especially now. There's so much changing constantly, and you're right. I just within the SEO and AI search organic space, it's there's enough for me to keep up with. Let alone if I was running an e-commerce store and having to worry about every other facet of the business.
Yeah, for example, so I've just become kind of the head Google Ads coach in an e-commerce community, and they put notes on kind of how it works is they've got kind of general chats on certain topics, and then you can book on one-on-one with specialist coaches. But within their kind of client profile, there's all notes about what they covered or whatnot. And then I'll be looking at someone that's joining me for a Google chat. And I've seen already this week they've had a one on one email marketing chat, they've had a one on one meta ads chat, they've had a one on one logistics chat and kind of running profit and revenue numbers. And then they've got their Google Ads chat. And then after me, they've got a website conversions chat. It's like there's a lot to do. But
Yeah,
it's funny, like the guys in these high level kind of communities and masterminds, like, excuse my language, but they don't fuck around. Like, you give them something to do, and it's. I remember the first call. I said to one of the one of the guys I was coaching, because there needs to be a level of accountability there. Like, oh, when can you get this implemented? He's like, oh, I'll have it implemented this afternoon. It's just okay. That's awesome. Like, I love
Yeah,
hearing that. I don't hear it
yeah,
enough. I think when we're working client side and we're asking a business owner for something that we need, it takes so long. But when the business owner is in there and they're the ones implementing it and they know the results if they do it, there's just it's just bang. Like, okay, I know what I need to go do. I'm gonna go do it like as soon as I get off this call. So yeah, it's kind of a refreshing community to be in, that's for sure. But and that's the difference from the guys that are kind of doing well and are getting stuck. Like, you've got one person having five one-on-one coaching calls with specialists in every field, and then they've got an exact game plan of what they need to do in each aspect of kind of their e-commerce journey. And then you got another business owner that might be setting up a Reddit account and it's like, oh, I'll check on my Facebook ads that I haven't looked at in 4 months, and oh, what are these email marketing flows doing that I set up in 2022? So it's yeah, it's honestly it's the difference. So, but I think the community that we really want to foster on Facebook is like for these overwhelmed people. It's like, hey, I'm concentrating on this on the minute at the minute. What can I do to get the most out of it, or what's working at the moment? I feel like that's where we kind of come in and can help in kind of certain aspects.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I was on a call earlier. One thing I mentioned to them was that we were talking about social media actually. So not necessarily my remit, but one thing that I always advise is focus on one platform first and really master that platform and grow that audience before you try and do everything, because you spread yourselves too thinly. If you're doing Instagram and then you're doing Facebook and then you're trying to run ads and then you're doing SEO, it's like, and you're the only one doing it,
Mm.
you're not going to get it done at the level that's going to get sustainable results, unless you have a specialist in place for each of those areas. So um, yeah, I think it's focusing on one aspect of marketing first, really kind of mastering that, and then adding layers on top.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. So, um, at the same time, sometimes they don't have that luxury either. Like, they need to be for certain reasons. Some brands, parts of the business will work on Meta and parts of it might work on Google. So they've just got to bite the bullet and sometimes and do both, or just focus on half the business that is going to convert on one platform. So yeah, it's a challenge, but I think definitely from touching again on what we covered on earlier, there's a huge strategy difference between someone that's got like one hero product on their store versus, tens of thousands of products, and how those campaigns are structured, how they're managed ongoingly. It's especially for Google Ads, like, it's completely different. And I've been advising on more kind of smaller SKU stores lately, because sometimes in this community where I get one-on-one coaching, um, they don't have a whole lot of products. So, and I can see that they're using kind of a general strategy that is kind of really tailored to stores that have a lot of products for the AI to learn on. And they're wondering, you know, why Performance Max isn't working. And it's it's hard for me at times because I need to stick to what's been taught in this course, and at the moment they're stuck to a Performance Max first, which is like the right approach to get the initial data that you need to decide, hey, is this going to work, or do I need to go back one step and really kind of hone in where this is going before we try kind of the automated strategies again. So it's the whole coaching thing's been definitely an experience for me, because I can look at an account and see exactly what's wrong, but I need to take a step back and just give them the one or two steps that they can do now to implement to get them to the next step where they need to go, not just kind of knowledge dump everything that needs to happen over the next six
Yeah.
months, because that's the mind frame I'm in a lot of the time, because it's a
Yeah,
client
same.
coming to me and it's like, okay, this is exactly what I need to do over the next 6 months to get this to where it needs to go. I need to like peg that back and then just give them the next two steps. And sometimes it's like, oh, I don't feel like I'm giving enough value because it's only the first step of the
Yeah,
puzzle.
yeah.
Now, like, there's still so more to go.
Yeah, I literally have that exactly same thought process. I will create an outline, a perfect, 6 month plan. But as I'm going through it, I'm realizing that, okay, I can see their facial expressions thinking, oh, this is a lot of work. Like, let me just
Yeah,
dial it back a little bit. And yeah, what's the couple of priority steps that they need to take in order to see progress? But yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm
Because
certainly
in
guilty of
my
that at
mind,
times.
it's like, do this, and if this doesn't work, then do this, and this is how you set it up, and then go back and check the merchant center to see if this is working, and then if that's not working, then you go back and make changes to the product title. This is what the product title format should be like, and then once you've got traction from there, build your negative keyword list, and then go back to the automated strategies, and they're just like, what did you just say? Like, what's
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on?
yeah,
Just slow down.
yes,
It's like,
yeah.
okay,
Stop speaking
let's just
Chinese.
build
Yeah,
yeah, let's just build out the search campaign this week, and I'll review it with you next week, and we'll go from there.
yeah, yeah. No, you're right. It's yeah, and I guess that just that comes with coaching experience as well, doesn't it? We're so often we're so much in the weeds of executing that we forget that people are
And I
starting
think
at,
I think the
at
guy
different
the guy
levels.
that runs the guy that runs the community does like a fantastic job, and he gave like an outline to for me as an oncoming coach, like, hey, this is how we run our one-on-one calls, like, and then he basically outlined everything, like find out what their problem is, get them through their roadblock, give them maximum like two tasks to do that week, and then have some accountability at the end for them to let you know when it's going to be done by. And I thought that was a great approach. And they're only half
Yeah,
an hour calls anyway, so they go quite quickly. Like they're kind of over before you know it.
yeah.
So
You kind of need
it's
to
a
be
real
precise and structured. Yeah,
yeah, it's a really good he's got a really good layout, and well, I feel like he supports his coaches really well. So I'm happy to kind of go in there and support his community as much as possible, but I keep seeing kind of reoccurring issues, and it's like, okay, in the back of my mind, we're going to have to rebuild some of like this course at some point, because once they get stuck at this point, they don't have a whole lot of levers they can pull to get any traction with Performance Max at the moment. So we need to take a step back, and that's what I think is missing at some points in this coaching. But then they're all at different levels too, and there's one where Performance Max is killing it, and then now they need these super advanced segmenting strategies to like cut out the products that are underperforming and really put the budget in the ones that are doing quite well, and then that's a whole new kettle of fish. So you've got some businesses that need to go back a step, and then you've got some businesses that need to move into the more advanced strategies. So yeah, it's a challenge to kind of do a weekly call that everyone can get value from, I guess.
mm, interesting.
But
Interesting.
the first the call I got lined up next week is around the Google Merchant Center. So, and I love digging in there, so I'm actually looking forward to that one because they haven't covered it at all, um, other than implementing it with Google Ads. So there's a whole bunch of little hidden features in there that you can use to enhance your ads, see kind of competitive pricing, and check kind of all the health status of all your products. So the Merchant Center is a little gold mine. It's kind of I guess you could say the Google Ads equivalent of, or sorry, the SEO equivalent of the Google Search Console.
Yeah,
So Merchant Center is kind of that hub for Google Ads.
nice. Well, yeah, maybe we'll from the insights that you are kind of researching over the next week for that in preparation. Maybe that's something that we can talk about next week.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, definitely I can run over that. Well, I mean, even in our earlier calls, I think we've covered a bit of them anyway. But like some of the ones to give value to people listening to this one is connecting your going in there, one, seeing where your store quality's at. If it's not if it's not at the excellent level, or exceptional. Can't remember which bracket it is now or what it's called, but it's either excellent or exceptional. I know it starts with E. Um, but yeah, like it literally outlines for there what you need to do, whether you don't have a return policy in, or whether your shipping time's too delayed, or it's too expensive, or your prices aren't competitive, or your website's slow. One of the biggest things you can do to really bump that up is connect your review platform. And not enough people have done this in their merchant center. In fact, I would say hardly any have done it actually, because it's a bit of a clunky process. But yeah, connecting that to your Google account will show when people are searching for your shopping ads, they'll show those little star ratings in the bottom of your ads, and make it stand out a little bit more too. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do in there. And I think the first one that we spoke about on our very first show, Charles, is making sure that the free listings are turned on. So you can get your products showing for free in the Google Shopping tab. You don't have to be like advertising on Google Ads for your products to show up in that Google Shopping tab. It just won't show up at the very top where the paid listings are. But under that is kind of the organic listings. And those organic listings are actually populated from the Google Merchant Center free listings. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and you can do the same on Microsoft Ads too. So, Microsoft Ads it's a pretty labor intensive, and some of my clients it's taken them close to 2 months just to get their account active on there. So it's yeah, it can be a bit of work, but um yeah, essentially it's free traffic. So and free eyeballs on your products too. So it's probably worth that little bit of extra work.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about Microsoft, actually, I was just uh, one thing
Speaking to
I've
Bill
started.
Gates.
No, yeah, yeah, just chatting to Bill. No, I was just I like using Claude AI at the moment to basically to use their deep research mode to create research reports or analysis. And I basically just did one actually before our call, just like give me a roundup of the last week in e-commerce marketing. And one of the things it mentions on there, I'm just looking, I've got my screen to the right of me here, is something called Index Now. Um, so basically, Microsoft has enhanced their Index Now protocol to support product schema with Shopify integration. So basically, what they're saying is if you're using this index now, um, your products are going to be indexed in real time. And I'm assuming that that's going to kind of integrate with ChatGPT and what they're doing on that side of things. So that's something that I'm certainly going to look into. And apparently that's you basically install a snippet of code if you're using obviously a WordPress site, but in our case with most of our clients it's going to be Shopify. So I'm assuming you've got to put a piece of code in the header or the head code element of the page.
Yeah, and I think
So
I mean these are the type of things that clients like to know you're on top of as well. Just in the back of my mind, Charles is a client that we've both spoken to. They would love to hear about, and this is where you can kind of differentiate yourself from larger agencies. Like you're quick to move on the kind of incoming changes as a freelancer, where Charles mentioned last week, larger agencies have to create these SOPs around everything. It takes time, there's red tape, and then once they do have the SOPs, then they got to train their team on how to actually use them. So,
yeah, yeah,
um, yeah, sometimes I think it's definitely one of the benefits of having a freelancer in the team. Quick to move, flexible, and kind of keeping up with what's happening in real time. I think I can only see like the large corporates using like large agencies now. I'm thinking like
I think so.
large scale business, yeah, like probably doing over 100 mil a year, those type of businesses.
Yeah, but I still think companies get drawn in by the shiny,
Mm.
presentations and the award-winning
Yeah.
agencies and all that type of stuff. And I think the truth is, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors behind that. Yeah, I think the biggest advantage, certainly for us as kind of lean operators that are either freelancers or run a kind of very small agency is, yeah, you're right. It's just far more flexible in terms of the strategy you can execute on, because often the larger agencies, they have very rigid deliverables because they want to scale. That's kind of their business model. They need to have clear SOPs for deliverables so that they can then hire people to do that. Whereas if they're really flexible, then it's really, you get a bottleneck in the business where, like, if you've got like 50 staff and they're all got their own process of doing things, then yeah, it's very difficult for them to grow. So it benefits the agency, but not so much the client, because if the client's like, okay, I want to do this, or they see that, say for example, we're seeing where AI search is going, and there's going to be a clearer adoption here. If what they've sold to the client is traditional SEO services, and they can't go outside of that remit, then they're stuck,
Yeah,
and they're
sorry,
stuck in
we
a
can't.
12-month contract.
Yeah, sorry, we can't do like this new thing that you're asking because it's out of scope.
Yeah, yeah. Um, or they've not trained their staff on it, and their staff are not being proactive to actually um, figure out what the latest developments are. So yeah, there is. Yeah,
I think another thing that we touched on last week, and a platform that is kind of, I guess, reinventing itself with the impact it's having on AI results, is Reddit. And even today I got asked about Reddit again. I think, like, for me, August is coming up, so I think my plan of attack for Reddit is I want some consistency. So I'm gonna start contributing in kind of the Google Ads community. But my plan is, it's so when August hits, there's 3 months until November hits, which is notorious for the Black Friday month. So my goal is to post at minimum one time on Reddit every single day from starting from the 1st of August for the next 3 months. But it's really like, I want to build kind of a value based persona. I don't want to go in there and say, hey, this is my freelancing business. Come see me if you need this, that type of thing. I want to like actually jump in there and just help business owners asking questions and just provide value and see what the impact on that is. Obviously, I'm going to have to work a link in there somewhere where it feels, native and right at some point. But yeah, that's kind of, I feel like if I can't comment, it's a forum basically. So if I can't comment on one thing every day, then I need to reassess my lifestyle choices.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It shouldn't take you long, should it? Really, if you can allocate some time to it every day, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. It'd be interesting to see the result of that. And I think your approach is 100% right. You going and if you're going in and you're trying to, here's my services, buy my shit kind of thing, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to get banned by Reddit. But if you provide value, that's going to come back to you over time. Um,
Yeah, and I think like the products that really come to mind for that would work well is only because I was on a forum talking about it today, like something random is cleaning products. Weirdly enough, because everyone's like, oh, a company that I had invested in, like Zero Co, has just kind of gone into administration, so it's shutting down. But they had like the largest raising on a crowdsourcing platform called Virtual, and now that Zero Co is closing down, everyone in there is like, hey, what are the best alternatives? Which cleaning company should I go to? And then it's like, I'm using this company at the moment. Their products are being great, and then it's like, oh no, you can't use those. All their like laundry and dishwashing sheets have microplastics in them. I was like, oh my god, I had no idea. Like I got them because they're in cardboard packaging, and everyone's like, no, it's a greenwashing business. It's just a like fronting as an eco-friendly business, and they promote like their non-plastic packaging, but all their products have microplastics in it. I was like, oh my gosh. So um, people are really passionate about like cleaning products. So if you've got like a good eco-friendly alternative, especially at the moment in Australia, like I'd be getting on every forum I could and try and jumping on the Zero Co forums and being like, hey, we're using this at the moment and it's amazing. You don't have to tell them it's your product. You just have to,
Yeah.
get your brand mentioned in the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the eco-friendly product is a big thing, and it's yeah, it's something that I've gone down myself. But equally, in that space, there is a lot of contradicting evidence. Like one minute one thing's good, the next minute something's not bad. I was reading the other day now. So my we've got an air fryer here, and
Yeah,
my
okay.
girlfriend loves using it now because we haven't got an oven where we're staying, and I was reading something that like,
Oh,
oh,
it gives you cancer or
this,
something?
yeah, air fryers cause cancer. But then the next thing I saw was it was a link to, oh, buy our air fryer because it's ceramic, or it was, and I thought, how, it mentions one family in China or something that got lung cancer, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't think that's enough justification to throw out my air fryer.
Yeah, no,
Um,
definitely. But the important message from this conversation is find out where like people are seeking alternatives that you have like the product for and just mention it. Don't go in there and say, "Hey, I'm the business owner of this product and you should try this." Like
yeah,
frame it as what your number one customer would say kind of about your product. Like you can just say, I'm using this product. One, it's not a lie. Well, I assume it's not a lie. I'd hope you're using your own product. I'm using this product. These are the benefits that I'm finding from it, and it's a really good alternative to X. So yeah, I would if there's room for you to play in that space. I think supplement companies that are selling one product, they could really play in that space. Like, oh, I'm so run down and fatigued. What are people taking to like for a pet me up? And it's like, I'm taking this supplement. It's like shown to do this, this, and this, and so they're the kind of conversations you want to be getting into on Reddit around your brand. It's kind of mentioning your brand, not necessarily dropping links. Sometimes you could potentially get away with it if someone asks. Um, but yeah, you want to be mentioning your brand in kind of these comparisons, or where should I go, or getting your name mentioned in. Um, if you know a big company's, if you know one of your competitors is shutting down, it's the perfect time. You start a thread. You could start a thread about the company, like, hey, I've been using this product, even if you weren't, and then what are some good alternatives, and then just have, your mate mention your company at number one.
yeah, yeah. That's true. You've got to be subtle with it. Like, for example,
Yeah,
if you're going to recommend a supplement, rather than recommend one supplement that might seem like it's too obvious that you're promoting your own product, you might say, "Oh, this is my supplement stack at the moment that I'm taking."
yeah.
It's just a little bit of finesse, really, is what you need when it comes to Reddit strategy. That making sure that you don't get banned, basically.
I think that's one of the biggest kind of hurdles people have got about jumping on Reddit at the moment. They're like, oh, what do I write? What do I start? Do I start my own subreddit? No, just get involved in the conversations that are happening around your brand, and then you might see a gap in the market, and then you can start your own subreddit kind of around that once you've learnt the ropes of Reddit, had some like cool conversations with people. So I've actually met, like back in the day when I used to use Reddit, I've actually met someone on Reddit, ended up going to a mastermind dinner at his house with my wife at the time, met some amazing people, and this is all from Reddit. So, um, yeah, no, to be fair, I haven't used it I think those posts were like in 2011. So I haven't used Reddit in probably like 12, 13 years.
Yeah, I must admit, yeah, I don't use it that regularly. I only recently came back into it and just updated my profile. um, because of how much Reddit's showing up,
Yeah, no.
in search. So um, yeah, definitely need to dive in a little bit into that. But it'll be interesting to see your experiment, Jimmy,
Yeah.
and how you get on
If
there.
you want to join me, feel free. I might even start a subreddit around this community and get you in there and try to
Yeah,
move people in towards there, asking questions. I think it's probably better than a Facebook group in terms of questions. One, because if someone else has the same question, then it's going to index on Google.
yeah,
So you can kind of get a conversation happening around people that are actually searching for that problem there and then. Whereas the Facebook side, they need to know about your group first, and then they need to come in, and then most of the time, if it's a smaller group like ours, they'll be asking probably a question that no one else is. It's not really relevant to anyone else in the group because they've all got their own little niches and problems. Whereas as Reddit, it's kind of if you can answer a universal question and answer it well, then you're going to get some good kind of traffic from Google coming in. And I notice it all the time. It's like, hey, just around a marketing thing. Oh, I forget what it was. Do I still have Reddit open? No, but there was I think I was looking up something about email marketing and a little nuance in there. So I was like, hey, what does this thing do and is it effective? And the top result was a Reddit forum for that, and it gave me the answer that I was looking for. So definitely, it's definitely got value. It's just it's used in a different way to other platforms, definitely.
yeah, yeah. No, you're right, and yeah, I've clicked on many Reddit links over the years, although I've not actively using it and engaging. It certainly provides some good answers when you need it, um, and it's good also for like, you know, looking at uh, analyzing how legitimate a company is. Often there'll be, you know, Reddit reviews on certain companies, which is also useful to have. So definitely part of a good strategy moving forward, I think, given how much preference it gets now these days in search.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you open a Reddit forum as well, you can usually tell how like relevant the answers are based on how long ago it was posted. So, for example, sometimes I'm looking at a query for something that's changed recently and the last post was 2 years ago. And it's like, well, this isn't still relevant to now. But then you'll look up another problem and the last post was 2 days ago. It's like, okay, this information that I'm reading now is like super relevant to what's happening kind of right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. What else has been happening this week, Jimmy? What or last week, I guess. This week or beginning of this week.
I've kind of lost track of this week. Like I said to you, I completely even just over had an oversight on the call. So I've been I've just been in, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of coaching calls this week, and then making sure I'm on top of all client accounts, building more scripts to again take kind of my Google Ads management level to an additional level. There's some things that, for example, I'm adding like a new product feature to the script, so I can choose. You can set the parameters around what that business classifies as a new product. So whether they're getting new products weekly or quarterly or yearly or whatever, like they might get, I don't know, like a water skiing ski, and it's for 2026, and this product would probably be considered like the newest one for 6 months. So you can set like, give me all the products that are less than 6 months old, and put them in a kind of a new product campaign. Because what happens when you upload a new product, a lot of the time it's kind of it's a bit slow to react in Google because Google uses so much of its historic data to be able to serve the products that these new products that you're adding don't have any kind of data points associated to them yet. So if you can grab all the new products and then put them in a campaign and force Google to put some spend through them, it's just going to kind of expedite that product a little bit more and definitely make you show up for probably high value searches for people looking for the newest product or the newest iPhone or the newest Samsung, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, it's and have you been seeing, you said you've been doing a lot of coaching. I know we kind of mentioned it, you mentioned at the beginning of this call, but what are the main commonalities between like the kind of the top, I would say the top three issues that you're seeing a lot of?
Number
Uh,
one's tracking, and it's always tracking. So unless you've got solid tracking set up, like you can't refer to like historic data because it's just wrong. So, and then yeah, so getting that fixed first, making sure you're tracking. It doesn't have to be the highest level of tracking. Like it doesn't have to be server side tracking. You can, just do your standard Google tag website tracking. That's fine as long as it's consistent and kind of recording somewhat accurately. I think that's one of the biggest issues. The second biggest issue is definitely people that have gone through the process. They created Performance Max with all their assets. It's not performing, and then what do they do from there? There's only so much you can do when Performance Max isn't even converting. Um, Number one, you probably should definitely look at your product titles and meta descriptions, making sure that they're relevant to go out to the audience that you want for that particular product. But two, again, sometimes it's the start. It's their brand new campaign, and the account doesn't really have any data about who your actual customer is, or the AI is kind of guessing what your product is. Um, I saw an example of it today, and the person was wasting probably, I think I calculated at 37% of their budget on a product that was just completely. It sounded very similar to the name of their product, but it's not like their product at all. So if you go back a step from Performance Max, you can negative keyword that, and then when you go back to the automated strategies, it's taken out of there. So yeah, it's kind of it's probably the second biggest issue at the moment for those guys starting out. I'm trying to think of the other ones that the majority of issues for those guys starting
those
out
top,
are around Performance Max, and then probably the third is when things are. This isn't really a problem, but the third is when things are going really well. Okay, like how do I scale it now? Like that's kind of the next thing. So yeah,
yeah.
completely different areas of the spectrum, but yeah, I think they're the main conversations I've had at the moment. Actually, one more, a few issues that have popped up, like products just being disapproved in Merchant Center and people having no idea how to fix them, or shipping issues too. Shipping issues can be a big one.
Yeah, we've talked about that in the past, haven't we? There's
Yeah,
seems to be
well,
a,
you know how big it can be because that particular client's missing out on like 7 or 800 products showing on their feed for
yeah.
free. So
Yeah, for sure. I think yeah, one thing I'm certainly realizing with the largest scale stores is you've got to really be on top of the technical issues. Um, you know, I I always joke that like half my job is just either putting out fires or stopping fires from happening. Like literally just had a
that's a very good way to
situation.
put it.
Yeah, yeah. I had another situation this week where, and I was off, wasn't I? I was off not last week, the week before,
Yeah.
and one of my clients had changed the URL structure of their blog without. They did tell me that they were going to do it, but they didn't tell me the date that they were going to do it, and then I checked, and a couple of weeks later, and I realized that obviously you've got a new URL structure. The problem was the old URLs were all broken.
Weren't redirected.
They
Yeah.
weren't redirected. So I had to basically go in manually and get those all set up. And what I also realized was they have a lot. So basically they have, and this is a bit of an insight into kind of the larger stores where they literally have a product manager and they have two staff underneath them that literally their job is just to create new product pages. Now, the problem is they're not from they're not from an SEO background. So often when products either get discontinued or are transferred to, say, a new URL, what they've been doing is they've been basically redirecting the URLs just to the homepage. So
Okay.
effectively, if
Yeah.
that product page was ranking for keywords, you effectively lose all of that potential search equity and potential customers that are landing on that page from Google search. It's just redirecting into a homepage. So best practice is always to be, if you're gonna, you know, discontinue a product or a collection, you want to redirect it to potentially a new suitable collection or product where the customer is likely to buy it. You set up what's called a 301 redirect.
What
So
is there a section on the product page to redirect the URL, or do you have to do it from somewhere else in Shopify?
there is one actually. When you change the URL at the bottom, Shopify give you an like automatically say, do you want to redirect it? So actually, it's quite intuitive, the platform and the way that it kind of prompts you to like, would you like to redirect to a new URL? So if you actually change the URL handle, it will say, do you want to set up a redirect from the old URL to the new one?
But
But in this case, they were just redirecting all to the homepage, which
with
actually, yeah,
with that, so say you've got a product that goes out of stock, right? And you want to change the URL. You couldn't change it to the new product URL because the new product would have um its own unique URL, right? So if you
yes,
changed it
yes,
to you don't want to change the product that's just gone out of stock to the URL of the new product. Is that right?
Cor- yeah, correct. So only if so you could if you haven't set up the product page yet, you could change the URL handle from that original page. If you've already got another product created from a new URL, then you need to go into I think it's changed now. I think it's in Shopify it's content and then you click on menu and then you can set up there's like a 301 redirect like
Oh,
dashboard
okay.
where you
I
can
didn't even
set
know
up, yeah, you can set up all the
that.
301
You can tell
redirects.
you can tell I don't get into SEO very often. That's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with that headache. But
I was
yeah,
thinking you were about to tell me to go into the robot text and then
no.
um
It's actually a lot more simple than that. Yeah. There is an area. They moved it recently, but as far as I'm aware, I believe it's down the side, left hand side. I think it's under content. You click on menu, and then at the top you'll see 301 redirect, and you'll literally be able to set up all as many 301 redirects as you want, basically. Um, Jimmy's having a look now
yeah,
as
I
we're speaking. Am I
am.
correct?
I'm in content, but it's got meta objects, files, menus, and blog posts. Oh wait, in menus, yeah, there's a URL redirect. What's in here? Let me have
Yes,
a look.
that's the
So
one.
it's at the very top of menu. Oh, okay. Actually, I have set up some. Must have been a long time ago. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, there's definitely some in there that's interesting. So yeah, cool. I didn't know you could do that. So there you go, guys. That's if you're in content, you go menu, and then in the top right-hand corner there is a button that says URL redirects, and you can create a new redirect right in there. That's pretty simple.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but often gets overlooked, or the redirects are set up kind of incorrectly. Um, so yeah, it's not typically too much of an issue if you have a low amount of traffic already. If you don't set up a redirect, obviously it's best practice, but it becomes more of an issue if you've got a pretty established site and you're getting a lot of traffic and good rankings from an original URL or product or collection URL, and then you just don't get that set up. You can lose a lot of potential traffic there. So
I
yeah,
get a lot of I get a lot of links from it's like slash vendor. I don't know if you see those in other accounts, but it doesn't use the brand. The brand kind of goes into a vendor category, but there's like two links for it. You can get to the same page from brand. Um, I'll 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 find out a bit more about it this week, so I can kind of give you an actual kind of exactly what's happening. But I
Okay.
just know that in the Search Console, there's a lot of kind of vendor links that I want to go somewhere else.
Interesting. No, I've not seen that. Um, I've been in Search Console. Yeah, I'm in there quite a lot now. I'm liking their new insights feature. I think we mentioned that last week, where you can see, trending up and trending down pages, and um, yeah, I've been impressed with
All your clients,
improvements
I
to their
imagine, are in the
interface.
green, Charles. Is that what's happening?
Well, yeah, yeah. Look, there's always, when you're working with large scale sites, there's always going to be pages that are up, and there's going to be pages that are going to be down. You just have to, you know focus your attention on the ones that are down and make improvements there as well. So,
Hey,
but
just
yeah, we want to see more green than red. Put it that way.
yeah, based on that in the Search Console, if someone's going in there and they're looking at the last 3 months data, I feel like it'll be different for different industries. But what if you're looking at the average click-through rate? Like, what are you kind of targeting as kind of a base level?
Yeah, I want to be realistically. I want to be seeing at least 2% across the board, at least. If it's under that, there I would be somewhat concerned. Um, yeah, I just ordered to the site recently.
I mostly a client because I think out of I've got a lot of clients sitting in here. I think maybe one of them has over 2%, and they're like their brand equity is enormous. So it doesn't surprise me. But I'm seeing. I don't want people to hear that and then freak out because I'm looking at nearly every one of my accounts, and they're kind of hovering between 1.1 and 1.6.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think anything in the one range, I don't think is bad. I wouldn't say it's bad. Um, but I would certainly be looking and reviewing the meta titles and descriptions if it was, you know, for example, if the click through rate yeah, is below 2, and then you're seeing a trend down in clicks over 3, 6 months, then obviously there's a concern there, and it's going to vary between markets, isn't it? Between markets and industries, you might be in a really super competitive niche. You might be in an industry where the search results pages are taken up by, various different other elements. So you're not just got the original, 10 blue links, but you've got videos and you've got other carousels. So links get pushed down further the page, therefore the click through rate is lower. But yeah, I would like to be seeing, yeah, it depends. Again, it depends what size as well. If you're a smaller store, um, maybe you've naturally got a higher click through rate because there's less traffic hitting less traffic and impressions. So naturally, your click through rate's going to be higher. So I think it varies, but from what I'm seeing with the clients that I'm working with, they're kind of around the 2% mark.
Basically, what Charles is saying is if you are at 0.6 and you want a 2% click rate, hit him up.
Yeah, like I said, I'm only seeing what I'm looking at from my own client accounts.
I'm not responsible for the SEO on my client side,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm not taking
But then equally,
responsibility
Jimmy,
for
you're
any of
looking
those
at,
long
you
click-through
probably got
rates.
a bigger picture. Because, for transparency, Jimmy's working with more clients than I am. So, I'm seeing a smaller picture with the amount of monthly clients that I'm working with. Whereas if I had, a larger amount of client accounts, then maybe the analysis would be different. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you
But
can,
certainly something to be looking at.
any clients that we work on together, you lead with that. Hey, your click-through rate's only this. The majority of my clients start to, get around 2%, so I can 3 times your organic traffic just by improving your click-through rate.
Well,
Because
that's a bit. Yeah,
if
it's
you
a
guys
bit.
think about it, if someone's got like a 0.5% click-through rate, and you were able to make some substantial optimizations across the board, and you were able to get them to that 2% click-through rate, that's four timesing their organic traffic
Yeah,
purely by just optimizing titles and meta
script.
descriptions.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes, and people like to overcomplicate everything. Sometimes you've got to look at the data and be like, how do I improve this aspect of it? And you can have massive kind of gains from just getting the fundamentals right.
yeah. I think that's something that I realized recently was you know a lot of brands want this like this the secret SEO sauce to you know create an incredible amount of organic traffic, and the reality is a lot of brands get the basics wrong, and they're not consistent enough with you know like I said, having proper optimized meta titles, descriptions, reviewing those on a regular basis as well. It's not just do it once, set and forget. It's tweaking them over time if pages are not performing as well. So um, yeah, the fundamentals are key. There's a lot more you can do, but uh,
I think I wrote a post on that just the other day about getting the fundamentals right. Maybe let's wrap up on that. Like anyone that's listening to this, have a look in your account. Just get the fundamentals right before you try to jump into all these advanced things. Have a look at the stats that matter. Or I'm pretty sure your Search Console click-through rate is super important because it's actually the measure of how many people are actually coming through from organic. If it's low, see what you can do to fix it. Like start there, and then start building. But I think we've just come up to the hour mark, so Charles and I will wrap this up, and we'll hit you with some more value next week. If you want to come join us on Facebook, come join us at Shopify Marketing Secrets, or if you're listening to this on an audio platform other than YouTube, come check out our YouTube channel on E-commerce Marketing Chats, and we'll catch you guys all next week.